What's up, y'all? This is your boy DJ Wiz Hoffa, Faces of 518, episode 20. So I think this is like a milestone for us. And today's guest actually was one of our second and third guests. So this is her second time on the show. I have for y'all 6th District County Legislator of Albany, Dannielle Hille is in the building today.
Thank you for having me again.
Word. What's up, Dannielle? How you been?
I've been good, busy but good. A lot of life changes since the first time we sat in these chairs and had this conversation.
Yeah, and just to give people like a small recap, I originally had Dannielle on the show after, watching some of her lives and seeing what she was speaking about back in those days. And she actually was raising an issue about the fireworks happening on 4th of July. And to be honest, and I told her this, she came off a little Karenish to me at that time, right? And then I struck up a conversation with her to go a little deeper. And when she told me all of the things that most of us probably wouldn't think about, like the senior citizens, like the war veterans that may have PTSD, like the pets and the animals, and all the other things that can be disrupted by the fireworks. I said, you know what? That's understood, and there's somebody who has to advocate for these types of issues. And that's how our relationship began. And she came on the show. We talked about a bunch of things. So here we are, I'm gonna say 5+ years later. She went from being the CEO of her own local organization to being an actual Albany County legislator. So let's talk a little bit about the journey from where we left on to now. What you been getting yourself into?
Oh boy, so many things have happened. I've definitely gone on some additional Karenish rants, all for a good cause. Probably the biggest one in between this most recent one is going to be the sewer treatment facility that was proposed to be built above ground in Lincoln Park. I'm going to be honest, I stumbled on that. One of those really surreal moments. I saw a flyer. It said the Beaver Creek Clean Water Project. And I don't know, for anyone who doesn't know, there's actually 3 estuaries underneath the city of Albany. So there's actually three streams that run underneath. They were actually buried as the city was built over it. Really? They've been talking about, I think it's called the Tivoli one. It runs behind the Tivoli houses underground. So they've been talking about bringing that, like daylighting that stream. So the one that goes through Lincoln Park is the Beaver Creek. So I was like, oh, this is great. Are we going to daylight the Beaver Creek? And I sat down in the meeting, and it was a presentation. It was at Toast. And very quickly I realized that this wasn't about daylighting a stream. This was actually about building a facility that was going to strain and then compact poop and then truck it out of the neighborhood. And I was like, I don't think caught off guard was the word is an appropriate word for that, because all I could think of was, would they build this in Lincoln Park, or not Lincoln Park, in Washington Park? What about uptown? Like, they build it there? Like, who builds an above ground facility for sewage treatment? I don't care what other words they use it. It's a sewer treatment facility. Above ground. And it was a massive building. It was like 60,000 square feet on parkland. Like, Lincoln Park is protected parkland. You don't just build things in there. And they had done none of the steps to get there. There was no alienation. Alienation is a process by which you convert parkland into usable land, but you must return equal or greater amounts of land to it in order to keep the parkland at minimum the exact same size. So none of that was done. So I got on my little soapbox and I put the call out. And I mean, that was a $30-something million project that got further delayed. But now, if you weren't here when that happened, you'd have no idea that there was this massive facility underground. And now what it does is it chlorinates the water and it sends it downstream. There's no compacted poop that gets trucked out, nothing. And it took nothing away from the parkland. The little bit of ground that the outbuildings sit on, they're about the size of a one-car garage, that was returned at the top of MLK and Myrtle Ave. So we lost nothing in that process. We maintained the aesthetics. Could you imagine being in the new Lincoln Park pool and looking up the hill and saying, what's that building? That's a sewer treatment plant? Uphill from the pool? Crazy.
So do you believe, how much of a hand do you believe you had in actually getting that project stopped?
If I hadn't showed up that day, it would have happened, and we would have found out too late down the road, because it was on no one's radar. It was on absolutely no one's radar that day.
Any resistance?
Oh, of course. Kathy Sheehan must have called me like 2 or 3 times a week, every week, to ask me to stop and to explain to me how I didn't understand what screening poop meant from the water. So this happened. This was a lot. It was a lot to get that. And like, we wouldn't have what we have now. I mean, and it was time consuming. They're always time consuming. But I mean, I don't consider myself an activist. I'm an advocate. I move in different ways than an activist does. And I generally, like, somebody will just call me and be like, hey, did you see this? And I'll be like, I didn't. And then I dig, and then I go full attack mode if it's something that needs to be done. Like, our communities are underserved, and, we receive less, like, it's underserved. We're also saturated with programs. Like, we become the dumping ground for everything that somebody else doesn't want in their neighborhood. I don't think that that's NIMBYism. We already hold so much of that pot. Like, why do we keep getting more? And why is there a problem when we keep getting more? Because we don't want it, which is basically what happened most recently with the inner city bus terminal.
So let me ask you a question. It's interesting to me because you're one of the people that fight for what happens in your neighborhood. Not saying that you wouldn't fight for issues elsewhere, but it's a known fact that anything that happens in your district, if you see something janky going on, you're gonna bring it to the table. Now it's to the point where people will alert you about said things. Is it because you've been consistently fighting so long that people just know, like, you're the go-to in that district?
Definitely. Like, either they come to me themselves or they're talking with someone else and they're like, I wonder if Dannielle knows. Or I'll get a text message, or I'll get an email, or I'll get a phone call about what's going on. And if it's something that I can influence and doing so is in the best interest of my community, then I will. I mean, I can't support everything. Well, first of all, I can't do everything. There's going to be stuff that I just, in my own available time cannot handle.
Right.
Like, because there's always going to be another issue. And then there are some things where, either the outlook of it is not going to be a positive benefit for our community, or I've heard, through conversations and stuff, where I find that the community is mostly for. Like, we all have, every neighborhood is different. Every block is different. There's things that are tolerated in one area that are not tolerated in the other area. Right. I'm not going to tell someone what to tolerate in their area. Right. And if it's just one person that has an issue with what their neighbors are doing and nobody else does, then that's their personal issue. Like, that's not actually an issue. So sometimes, I go with the majority on things. I listen and I go with the majority, because most of it, the fireworks were a little different because they were harmful to me as well. But a lot of the stuff that I take on doesn't necessarily affect me.
You, right? And don't you find it ironic that a lot of the things that that you have to fight against actually happen in the Mansion neighborhood, where the governor's mansion is? Why do you think that? Because usually you would look at that as a protected neighborhood, right? I think most people would think that if they weren't from here.
You would think that, but even when Cuomo was here and Cuomo grew up in that house, you know, he would walk his dog through the neighborhood without security. Like you'd see him on Grand Street.
I seen him.
Yeah. Like even with that, we are still, and it's less the mansion. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the mansion. And when most of it though occurs like Grand Street and below. So I think it's, you know, the block that I live on would be what I'd consider the buffer zone around the Capitol, like, you know, the governor's house.
Right.
But it's
walk
like
1 block.
Yeah, 1 block down. But it's as you go further down, as you get into the pastures, as you cross down into the to the south end, like collectively we all call it the south end. You know, it's pretty much anything from the arterial south is generally referred to as the south end. There's actually a gap in between like the Mansion Pastures neighborhoods and where downtown neighborhood actually begins. The McDonald's, the old McDonald's is in there, South Mall Towers are in that gap that doesn't actually get covered by any singular neighborhood. It's actually not covered by either one. There's no overlap or touching. But I think because of the Mansion neighborhoods and the Pastures neighborhoods' proximity to the South End and being lumped in to the South End, it is just what we do to those people. And I mean, I'm not going to say I don't understand why that keep happening. You know, a lot of these people, first of all, low-income neighborhoods tend to be nomadic, and not by choice. Residents aren't just moving because they want to. They're moving because they're getting pushed around. So you now have a group, like a base of people who are more worried about how they're going to keep a roof over their head, how they're going to keep the lights on, and how they're going to keep food in theirs and their children's stomachs. They don't have that moment to pause to really be able to get out there and advocate. A second thing is people from lower income communities tend not to have all the necessary tools to advocate for themselves. It is unfortunate, but it is also the reality. Like growing up for me, I grew up, my dad was 8 years old in Nazi Germany, and he's a little kid. You know, he enlisted in the U.S. Army to go fight in Vietnam because his option was either to go or lose his American citizenship. He was born here, but only spent about 3 months of his life here. He came back here. He learned how to speak English, watching movies. He had the equivalent of a 6th grade education. And while he was great with his hands, that's kind of where it ended. So growing up as my single parent, we didn't have any advocacy because he didn't know how to do it. Like you know, if you were the person who he saw as knowing what you were talking about, he wouldn't challenge it. He would just say, okay, well, they said that. Like I remember like my brother failed 8th grade for the second time. The schools, like I was worried. I was like, something is wrong here. Like something is wrong. You don't fail this many times just because. And I took him to a specialist up here. We had all the stuff done. Turns out he had some he had some learning disabilities, right? The guy wrote me this like 40-page report on my brother's learning disabilities and what he needed to succeed. We go to the school. The teacher, the guidance counselor says, no, he's just acting out. And I said, what do you mean he's just acting out? Well, no, we're not giving him an IEP. He's just acting out. what do you mean he's acting out? Like, the paperwork says this. And they looked at my dad and they're like, your son is just acting out. And my dad says, okay, then he's just acting out.
How many years ago was this?
Oh, Jesus. I must have been 14 or 15 at the time.
Really?
So this is, coming up on 30 years ago.
So that was young advocate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, I remember they just looked at him and I'm like, absolutely not. Like, you don't just get to determine that he's acting out when we've brought you proof. He got his IEP. He did better in school. He ended up getting he ended up with an equivalency diploma, like a GED, but he still got it, something I didn't even think he was going to get. So I had to like learn the ability to advocate kind of the hard way. I was lucky enough to have a roof over my head and not worry about that. So the way that I look at it is I went through this so someone else doesn't have to. Like, this might sound a little weird, but it's kind of my coping mechanism for childhood trauma. That makes sense? Because I fought a lot of battles that I shouldn't have had to, but thankfully I learned how to fight them. So while they were tough for me growing up, I now have this ability and the know-how.
You fight against unjust situations.
Fight against it. It's like, it's my way. It gives back to me. And it literally makes those hard days completely worth it. Completely worth it.
That's what's up. That was a good story. That really shows a lot about you and why you are where you are now and what your line of work is. Before we even get into the bus terminal thing, I wanna go just talk about how you became county legislator and what roads led to that.
So I had run in 2015. I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea what I was doing. Vera Michelson and Matt Peters, both unfortunately departed from us, helped me through the first one. I looking back, there were things that I would have done differently.
You was a rookie.
I was a complete rookie. And I was fighting against an intentional campaign to make me the angry black woman. And the fear within my circle was that if I snapped back at things, then I was giving him what he wanted. And while I understand that, was tough for me because I don't usually take stuff like that quietly. But again, I listened. I understand why. 10 years later, definitely would have done that a little differently. But obviously, I didn't win. I was very close. But last year, he went into a different office, vacating the seat. I participated in the interviews with the Democratic committees that are covered by the 6th District and was chosen for appointment by them.
Okay. That's what's up. So, so how long are you going to sit in that seat?
So unless I win a write-in campaign in November, I sit until December 31st.
Okay.
But that seat is then again open up for an election next year. So it's 2 years in a row is how it works out. Once because there was 2 years left on the term. So the appointment only covers one. And then next year, because that seat is due to be reelected.
I have to say, one thing that I do notice about yourself during this whole you sitting in that seat is you have an unconventional way of doing things as opposed to previous politicians, right? You really spoke loudly about certain things, particularly the bus terminal situation. So talk a little bit about that and what really made you come forward and make it a loud situation that was trying to be kept quiet, if you will.
So I'm definitely not conventional. I'm absolutely not establishment party. Um, Partly because I am an advocate and because I almost always put the better good in front of my own interests. But also because I'm kind of tired of things always being the same way. Like I mean, this country seems to be saying the same thing as we watch elections happen, and Mondani in New York City. Like, it seems like people are a little tired of always being the same way, and I'm in my mid 40s now. My sister's 15 years younger than me. I don't know what she wants for her future, and I'm tired of 80-year-olds deciding what's going to happen in my future when they're not going to be here while I'm suffering to undo the nonsense that they did because they wanted that to be the way it was when they were my age. Like, we legislate backwards. People get in there and they're like, oh, well, I would have wanted this when I was in my 20s. That was like 40 years ago. The people in their 20s now don't want anything to do with what happened 40 years ago. Like, the 40-year-olds are old people. Like, I realized that I'm the old person that I was talking crap about when I was 20. Like, we have to break these cycles. Like, there are legislators who have been in their seats longer than I've been alive. Like, how do they legislate for me? So, and I also feel like where has being what's the word I want? The word is slipping out of my mind right now, but being the safe legislator, whereas you don't buck the system at all. Where has that safe legislator gotten us? And I don't even mean like here in Albany County, but where has it gotten us?
Right.
Except the same old. Like, because when I first started doing community work here, I kind of went after Jerry Jennings. It wasn't on the level that I would if that had happened to today, but I started this blog. And basically, I just kept putting everything I did on this blogs, every letter I sent, every email I sent, every response I got back. And I got a call from an Albany County legislator, and I have no idea how she got my name or my number. Well, I know how she got my name, but I have no idea how she got my number. And the conversation basically went like, you need to take down that blog. And I said, why? Because this is not how we do things. And my response to her was, this might not be how you do things, but this is how I do things, and I'm going to leave it up.
How long ago was this?
Ooh, we're looking like 2010.
Okay. Somebody I know?
Yep.
Okay.
And I just, for me, the audacity, like you as someone who represents my community, you should be calling me asking how you can help solve the problems which I'm exposing on my blog, not telling me to fight those in quiet, like in the dark. So, and I would be foolish to think that I haven't ruffled feathers and irritated people and probably burnt some bridges, but I don't know that those are bridges I wanted to keep. I also do not want to owe anyone anything, because you can call that favor in at any time. And if we already in this quid pro quo, what if it's something that I truly can't let go? Like, but I've already agreed to pay you back when you call me. And I don't want that. Like, even in this whole run and all of this, I don't want a single politician's like endorsement. I wanted none of it. None of it. Because I really don't want to owe anyone but the community anything at the end of the day. Like, the only ones that should say do it or don't do it are the community. And if it's going to go head up, I'm going to have to go head up with somebody who has more political power than me, then it's going to have to be what happens.
So you may have just opened up a little, not a can of worms, but I just listened to what you said. And so what you're saying is that sometimes in politics, that somebody will endorse somebody else, and then later on, whether it be a year down the line or 2 years down the line, they may just come to you to stand with them on the issue, and maybe without saying it, they're like, because you remember I did this for you, I need you on
Correct.
this. That's the type of thing you're talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that may work well for communities that don't have to fight for everything, but it doesn't work well for communities that have to fight for everything. Like I'm not willing to put someone else's politics above my own community. I'm not. And as I'm sure you've heard me say, if that means that I'm not going to remain a legislator, then that's what that means. Because either way, I'm not going to stop fighting. Like, I didn't win the first time, I kept fighting. The time while I'm in here, I kept fighting.
I was actually surprised. I was like, woo. I said, Dannielle shaking shit up around this mob. it's getting, woo. I was like, oh, okay.
You know what was the craziest part of that? So I guess we could just transition into the bus station.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm out petitioning, and I'm in the senior building across the street, South Mall Towers.
Mm-hmm. And
door after door, they are mad. Like, they are not happy with this. How did this happen? You know, why didn't we get spoken to? And I'm just like, I found out when you guys found out. Like, I found out shortly before the press conference that they're like, I didn't even get an invite to the press conference. I was already the sitting legislator for that district.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even get an invite to a press conference on a project that was squarely in the center of my district.
Mm-hmm.
So that should tell you a lot right there. But I can't ignore this. Like, and I get it that, you know, there were legislators and the county exec who have a lot more power than I have that were for it. And I sent an email to the Alliance, and I asked Kevin O'Connor to pick some time to come with me to the South Mall Towers and talk to the residents. And he ignored me. So then I sent a very sharply worded email to him, which is posted on my socials, demanding that he put it on pause and go to the community. And he ignored me. I mean, I'm still a little green in the politics. I'm not a politician, although I sit in a seat, but you don't generally, when you get money from the county, like, you may be an independent organization. However, all the property you have and all the funding you use comes from the county. And you snubbed the county legislator that's in that district. Like, that's gall right there. Like, I might be new, I might be green, but minimum respect is an acknowledgement. I got your email, let me see what we can set up.
Right.
Even if you don't follow through. But he ignored both of them. So now I'm pissed, because this is crazy. Like, my community is not happy. They're not happy about this.
He must say know who he was playing with.
Yeah, no, not at all. I think he might have actually gotten bad advice. Some of those powerful people figured that they could stop it.
The people that you sit in the rooms with?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there was some bad advice provided to him that was no threat, which is crazy, because all the other big stuff I've gone after has also resulted in the community getting what they wanted. So I don't know why this would be a different thing, but hey, he chose to ignore me. So, and it's growing. Like, people are asking me questions. Some of them are coming at me because they're like, how did you let this happen? And I'm like, this did not happen under me. This happened under my predecessor. The ball was already rolling, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it. So.
And your predecessor was?
Sam.
Okay.
I'm like, this has been ball rolling for like 18 months from my understanding. It was over a year. So the first meeting comes up at the Griffin Elementary School. We're expecting like a community meeting. What it was them talking at us and telling us how great this was going to be for us.
Yo, I watched it. I was rolling. You
I was
over there.
I was so annoyed.
Taking the sticky notes. You
Well,
told
no,
everybody.
that wasn't the bad one. You got to start with the first one. That was the second one.
Okay.
So the first one, we're in the
Oh,
auditorium,
when they tried
and
to-
they're just talking at us like, oh, basically they're asking us like what we'd like the museum pieces to be in. Should we have a coffee shop or should it sell sandwiches in there? And I'm like, this is not a community meeting. Like, we missed an important step in this process. Like, how about asking them if they wanted this at all? If this was going to work for the community? There was a lot of people had a lot of very good concerns, like very relevant, very significant concerns. And none of that was addressed in there because they weren't listening. Like, they didn't come to listen. So then they insisted that everyone writes their question on this card. And I watched them sift through them. Like, they went through those questions and only asked questions they wanted to ask. So the pile that never got asked were the hard ones. Like, why didn't you? And I remember the woman from the consulting firm read one thing and she said, why it said something like, why wasn't the community consulted from the beginning? And she said, oh, that's why we're here. And I lost it. I lost it. Like, I was trying my darndest. I remember Joanne Cunningham, she's the chair of the legislature. That woman told me to sit down. It wasn't my meeting. I'm not her child, and I'm not a child. I will behave how I want to in public. You don't get to tell me to sit down. Not only do you not get to tell me to sit down, you don't get to tell me to pipe down on a project in my own community that the community is pissed off about. There goes that quid pro quo. Because at that moment, if I'd have took some endorsement or something from her, I probably would have had to sit my butt down, which I wasn't going to do. So I guess it doesn't matter if I burn them up front or from behind, but I mean, I tend to hold my promises, so I don't want to take anything that I can't uphold. So this woman says this, and I stood up and I said, that is not what that meant. Nobody, like, this is not where it starts. Like, nobody cares about what the museum thinks. How about we talk about where were you when you were deciding to do this? Right. So Kevin O'Connor walks up to me, pointing at me and tells me that if I don't sit down, he is going to have me removed. So you're going to have the sitting county legislator for the district which you are standing in right now, where this project is, removed.
I witnessed this.
From a community meeting? Are you kidding me? So that happens, and that was it.
Let me tell you one thing. I got to give this to you, though. You're smart because as long as I've been here, I haven't seen anybody really use social media in the way you did. Sitting in the position that you sat at, it's kind of very transparent. And even yesterday, I realized that there's different versions of the meeting that occurred the other night. They have a channel on YouTube that shows all of these things, right? But that stuff could be edited. But when Dannielle comes in there and sits her phone down and films the whole shit, like, nothing can be edited. So you really giving the people the whole real feel. So people got to see, what's his name, Kevin
O'Connor.
People got to see him actually do this, because you had your camera and you were filming. And I think that you might have single-handedly changed the landscape of the way things can happen from now on.
I sure hope so, because the lack of transparency is its own issue. Like, the idea that we snip and we cut and we rearrange and we only show the parts that make us look good is not reality. There's parts that we don't look good, and there's some parts where we're ugly. And how do you know if the person that's out there fighting for you is being genuine? Like, when you look at anything that I do, you're not going to find any cuts in it. Right. Like, even if I do a recorded like video, you can cut that up. There's no cuts in it.
Right.
Like if I misspeak, or I'll correct it on the fly. Like, I mean, you can see other potential candidates, other elected officials, when you can, I mean, it's not hard to see when that video jumps. Like you can see the chain that something's been cut out. If you're a community representative, whether it's elected or not elected, whether it's seeking office or leaving office, if you can't speak about something without needing it to be edited, then what are you doing here? Because if you need it to be edited, then you don't have everything you need to say. I don't need to be edited. I mean, maybe sometimes I might need some cuss words cut out, like, but I'm happy with the emoji over my mouth if that's the case. But I don't need to edit my stuff, because these are things that matter to me. Like they actually matter to me. So I already know what I'm going to talk about. I don't need you to stitch my video together. And also, if we can't all be there. Let's face it, most of these meetings happen at absurd times.
Because to be honest, I wouldn't have been privy to some of these meetings if you didn't post them.
Right.
So.
And I want to make sure that if you can't go, you can still see what happened. You can take action based on what you can see. And if it's edited or cut, it's not live, it's not recorded, then you can't come to your own conclusions. And I think that's most important. Like when I listen to podcasts, like the news, I listen to all of them. Like I don't listen to left or right leaning alone, because the stuff that they're the same on is the stuff that actually happened most likely, since they're feuding anyway. Without that opportunity to be able to listen to that span, I may not get the whole story. The same thing with recording a meeting, like a live meeting. You get to see exactly what's happening from where I'm seated.
And I noticed that once you started going live and showing these things, I started to see an increase of people that were being active on your account and actually responding and actually wanting to know what was going on. So I just think that's the era we're in. So post that meeting, the second meeting happened.
Oh yeah. I was a little extra at that. I'm not mad. I regret nothing. When you talk about community meeting around, like, I guess what is it considered? Charrettes is what they would consider that meeting. Where you
and this was at Giffen, right?
Yep, it was also at Giffen. It was in the gym. And they gave us little sticky notes and little dots to put things that we wanted. And there was like, what I had expected that meeting to be was an actual community dialogue, since you didn't give it to us the first time. But instead, they chose to create a very managed type of environment, where people, like the different factions that go into getting this project done, were kind of siloed. You had the construction guys over there, you had the designer guy over there, you had the project manager over here, so that in order to have all those conversations, you had to have them one at a time.
Right.
And you may not have remembered the questions that you wanted to ask them when you were talking to this guy. So by managing it, they basically created an environment that ensured no collaboration.
More to their advantage.
Correct, more to their advantage. And I was also not having that. I wasn't having it.
Came in there and said, hey, feel free to use these sticky notes and put no. I really feel like you led that situation. You did what a leader does, because if you didn't come in there with that influence, they would have fell in line with the way it was set up for them to do.
Right, and it was designed that way. It was designed to break them up. Like, we're stronger together. And at one point I realized that my pen worked on them, so I just wrote it on the things and the backup ones. They couldn't swap them out. Like, I was really being extra. But
That was funny.
But I also, like, the crazy part is that was the night after the community basically came in and shut our legislative meeting down. Every single person pretty much spoke out against the bus terminal. They gave all these reasons why it shouldn't be there, all the reasons why there were concerns. Like, it was person after person after person. Every time Joanne said, "Is there anyone else in the chamber that wishes to speak?" there was another person. Like, I remember getting to that meeting, and I cannot tell a lie, I was nervous. I always am. Like, when I pull in the community for backup, you never know what's going to happen. Like, I could be completely off base and I could get no support at all. So I'm sitting there and I see the first two people come in and I'm like, oh, phew, good. All right, there's some people coming. And then, like, I look back and there's more people. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, I'm thinking, this is great. At one point I look back and it is standing room only and they are out the door. I was like, oh, thank goodness I wasn't off base. I wasn't off base on that. So, like, it was just one after another after another. Like, after that meeting, like, long-term legislators, basically, I got the big ups afterwards. Like, that's the most we've ever seen happen in a meeting. Like, this is the liveliest meeting that's happened in 15 years. Like, way to go.
Galvanizing.
Right. So, like, if I was planning a project in that community and all those people stood up and said no, and I had a meeting the next day, I would have postponed that meeting to, first of all, I would have redesigned it because, you know, the next phase of this isn't going to get any better. I would have made it a real dialogue and gone in there and asked them what they needed to make this work.
They didn't even give people time to recover from the night before. It's like, let's have this the next day. Because 9 times out of 10, they probably figured the turnout wasn't going to be the same.
Not only that, though, the reason that I called for the community to show up is because the legislature was poised to approve $1.5 million in order to pay for the initial stuff of the project. So we as a legislature were going to approve money for this project the day before they had their second meeting, which is out of, like, they did that because they didn't expect the legislature to stop. I was already ready if Joanne hadn't pulled it, I was going to do it. She didn't pull it because of community outcry. Like, it wasn't because the community, she didn't pull it because she understood the community didn't want it. She pulled it because I'm pretty sure she realized, as she watched legislators listen, take notes, nod their head as you know, community members were speaking, that it was probably going to die on the floor. And I was prepared to pull it either way. Like, I already had a strategy because we were not going to give them more money on a project that my community said they didn't want. So then we went to that meeting, and I mean, it went exactly how it should have following the legislative meeting. And then they tried to revive it several times, down to the point, I don't know if you saw all the news articles on it, but Dan McCoy basically, like, doubled down.
You talking about the plaza talk?
No, the ones of the bus terminal.
Okay.
So you'd think that at this point this thing should probably be dead, or at least they're talking about doing something else. Dan McCoy doubled down, basically said, no, we're moving forward. How are we moving forward? Like, the community keeps saying they don't want it. Like, how? Like, you're just like, okay, community, I don't care what you want. I'm going to do it anyway. If that's the case, put the bus terminal in your neighborhood. You don't mind it being across from other people's homes? Put it across from yours. Sounds like a plan to me. So he doubles down. They do a scramble. And all of a sudden they decide to take it. And he gets, like, Dan had a big boy tantrum. Talking about, we're just going to tear it down and turn it into a parking lot. Like, so the community that you decided you didn't care enough about to ask because they stood up to you, you're going to punish them? This is how we do politics. This is why establishment is a problem. This is why the quid pro quo is a problem. This is why taking anything from them is a problem. Because you end up with subservient elected officials. They don't work for us. They work for them because they got them there. And yeah, okay, it definitely can get you out of there too. But I mean, if a person isn't willing to fight for their community without being elected, do we really want them? If not being elected means that they walk with their tail between their legs and say, well, I'm not going to help this community, do we want them? Like, if they're not willing to fight for the community that they care about, regardless of the consequences, do we want them? That's my feeling on it. This is why I am the way I am. Because you got to care about a place first before you can properly advocate for it. In any, whether it's elected, not elected, you have to care. And you shouldn't just start caring when you get elected. It's a little late.
At least you could say you did it.
Oh, yeah.
Is it something that you would do again, or are you totally like, that's not my cup of tea?
I'm going to say I'm not sure. I'm not going to leave anything off the table. It's a lot of work, for sure. It is a lot of work. And this has been really tough for me in a lot of ways. Like, I was only about 8 months after a serious illness and a hospitalization before all this appointment thing, started coming up. I'm still, almost 2 years later, not right.
Right.
So that takes a toll on me. My father passed away in the middle of petitioning. Unfortunately, it was a decision that I had to make. He's the closest person that's ever passed away on me. And I thought that I was going to be better at handling that than I actually turned out to be. So that has been like, it's been hard to focus sometimes.
You couldn't give your all into your campaign.
Oh, no. I mean, while we were petitioning, I had him sent back and forth to the VA hospital multiple times until it was clear that the only option here was hospice. Also, wife number 5 is a horrible human being.
Number 5?
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, wife number 5 is a monster. And she made all of that as difficult as she possibly could. Between lying, scheming, and at one point she swapped her daughter out for me on his paperwork. So he didn't always make good choices when it came to women. But all of this was going on at the same time. The bus station fight was happening like just weeks after my dad, not even weeks, we're talking weeks after my dad's passing. So I didn't really get the opportunity to like reconcile that. I don't know that I still have. I don't know if it would have been this long if I wasn't in the middle of something else. But at the end of the day, my dad would have been like, no, man, keep doing. Like, you go do that. I'm gonna be fine. Like, he wouldn't have allowed me to step back to focus on him. Like, he would not have taken that as a viable response to him nearing the end. So,
are you allowed to talk about what you really do?
Yeah.
Because I don't think a lot of people know you from, obviously a block at a time, and then, some of the issues you tackled, but nobody really knows what your real job is and how many people you advocate for and save doing that.
So I as with most people in the work that I do, don't publicize it. Like if you had asked me, I still would have told you, because I also don't hide it. So I am a supervising counselor for the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. I work in a medium security prison. And I'm going to be honest, I absolutely love the work. Like, I have done a lot with a lot of different populations, and incarcerated men are my favorite population to work with. Like, I've worked with, pre-prison, pre-court, post-conviction, incarcerated, in jails. I've worked with wrongfully accused, exonerated. I worked on wrongful conviction work. I actually played a large role and was the communications director for It Could Happen to You, who wrote and I participated in the entire project because I wrote some of the research for it. The Commission on Judicial Conduct, which is a way for individuals who have been involved in the justice system but feel like their prosecutor was improper at some point. This is a way for them to file a complaint. So it's modeled after the judicial conduct bill. So that was actually passed and signed into law by Cuomo. So down that path, and having worked in different fractions of criminal justice for coming up on 20 plus years now, I ended up with the department as a counselor. I started there 10 years ago. The counselors do a lot of case planning and assistance with reentry, assistance with parole board interviews and stuff like that. I don't think I can save the world, but if I can influence one of them to make a different decision the next time, then it's worth it. Like, I worked with victims post-conviction, and what it taught me, well, first, it's really difficult to work with victims. I applaud the people who dedicate their entire lives to it. It takes a significant toll on the person helping to support them. Because some of them live the same day every single day. Like, I've encountered people who have lived the same day for 40 plus years. They have never moved from that day. It's every day they wake up in the same day. And you cannot unvictimize a victim. There's not, you can provide them support, but you can't take that from them. But what we can do is help stop another person from being victimized. That's what we can do. And through work with people who are either currently justice involved or are at high risk for justice involvement, we can potentially interrupt that. They don't need to go out and hurt somebody. And there's a lot of reasons that go into it. Like, there's no, having done this for as long as I have, there's no magic formula that says you're going to go out and do something. Like, I've met people from every walk of life who are all wearing the same color inside of a prison. So there's nothing that, we think that there's a type. There is no type. And in fact, the people you thought weren't the type probably just didn't tell you that they are the type, but they've decided not to do that anymore. But if there's a way to help them re-enter on a different foot than they came in, then that means at least one person. It's never just one person. A victim isn't alone. They're victimized. Their loved ones are victimized because now they have to watch that victim suffer with what happened to them. So it's a long-standing ripple effect. It's the same way that if you are incarcerated, your son probably tends to have a higher chance of doing it, especially if you aren't saying this is not what you want. There's nothing cool about prison. This is not what you want. I don't want to do it. I don't want you to do it. there's a lot of places where we can interrupt. Like there's a lot of ways to break that cycle. And there's a lot of people along the way with the opportunity to break that cycle. Like living here in Albany, I run into these to the guys that I had inside, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not gonna lie, it means the world to me to see them doing better. Mm-hmm. Like I remember this one time. So I'm terrible in automatic car washes. Like I don't know why I can't seem to get my wheels in the right place, but I always think I'm going to break something, right? So the guy tells me stop. I'm like, all right, we're good. Car starts, boom, stops. I was like, oh crap, I broke something. All of a sudden I hear this knocking on my window. Miss Hille, Miss Hille, Miss Hille. If you're calling me Miss Hille, I know where we met. And I roll down my window, and it took me a minute because he was together. Like he didn't look like the last time I saw him.
Right.
And he's like, I just wanted to tell you that I'm doing really good. Like they're going to make me a manager here, and I have my own apartment, and I haven't gotten a girlfriend yet. I remember you told me to give myself some time, and that's what I'm doing. Like those moments.
That's what's up.
Like when they leave, I tell each and every one of them I never want to see them again. And it's not because I don't want to see them doing better. It's because I don't want to see them here.
Right.
Like this is, if I'm watching TV and you just got a music video on there, I'm happy to see you.
Do things happen and slip through the cracks that could potentially be dangerous for inmates that you have said,
So I believe that I treat everyone like a human. The day that I walk in there and I don't see humans is the day that I need to leave. I think that there is a wide misconception with what makes you one of them. It's a really fine line between hating something and being what you hate. And I don't think people, and I think it happens a lot when you're in, and it's not just in the prison system, when you're in a situation where you are constantly exposed, there to people that have done horrible things, you tend not to see how you could be them. The truth of the matter is, we've all had justice involvement. Even if it's just a speeding ticket, there's absolutely no way to make it through life without a contact with the criminal justice system, period. It's not possible. It's literally not possible. So I also remember some of the nonsense I pulled as a kid, which could have got me in a lot of trouble if somebody saw me or ratted me. You know, we've all participated in this stuff. It's varying degrees, but none of us are squeaky clean. Absolutely none of us. So that moment when you are just so beat down, and it's not necessarily beat down, you've become so desensitized that you don't even realize where that line is anymore. And let's face it, our society makes inmates the boogeyman. And there's some of them. Some of them, absolutely. I'm against the death penalty, but I can tell you right now that some of them probably not come out of there. Maybe not probably, there's some that definitely shouldn't. Like they've crossed lines that there's no explanation for that line. But I don't think that's your majority. Like I think you have a lot of people, a lot of broken people, especially. And a lot of people who either didn't have the support, had parents that didn't want them, like ended up in a foster system that doesn't want them. Like there's a lot of factors that go into somebody making some of those choices. And they're not just Monster.
I think this is a great segue for us to talk about the proposed bill. I don't know how to label it.
It's Local Law F for 2026.
Okay, Local Law F. Tell us what that means. Because I could say what I think it is, but I think you have more
So
educated knowledge on what the bill actually is saying.
the bill is only is about 2 pages long. For me personally, I don't think you can put what you need to on 2 pages. I understand the reasoning, but I don't agree with the execution. I understand that there are parents who participate in their kids' BS. Sometimes they're the one egging them on.
Giving them the weapons.
Correct. I don't think that's your majority either.
Right.
Like, most parents they're not just out there hyping their kid up to get in trouble.
Right.
And I also question how this would help those type of parents, because they know they ain't doing right. Like, how does going to a class convince you not to take your daughter outside, egg her on to beating up a girl, and film it? Like, how does a class change that? I don't understand how. I can't reconcile the type of parent that I believe this is meant to target actually changing because of these classes. By the time those kids are getting in trouble, we've missed our window.
Right.
And we've missed the place where we should be supporting those parents. Like, we need to support them in the beginning. We need to find ways, like, when I was talking with one of the sponsors, he was like, well, maybe they're a young mother that doesn't know that's struggling. No. By the time their kid's getting in trouble, that's probably he's probably the older sibling. He or she is probably the older sibling. That's no longer a young mother. That's probably 2 to 3 kids in. And even if it's not, she's not young anymore. Like, we're talking, usually these kids are going to be like 12 to 14. So we've got 12 years in there. We're not in the same place as struggling to raise an infant on your own.
Right.
So I'm not sure how this addresses the issues that led up to it. Also, what if it's the gang members on the corner? How is sending their mom or dad to classes going to break them out of that gang?
Right. Right. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was quite surprised when I found out who brought that bill to the table. That was very interesting for me.
Was it? Tell me about how interesting that was.
I just didn't. I'm not gonna judge him for the reasoning for this bill, because I will say, whenever I read the news stories on Facebook of these juvenile crimes or what have you, I've seen a lot of parents of all races saying that the parents need to be held accountable. So I don't necessarily think it's particularly a race thing, but I will say I've seen many people say this before this bill even came up. So I don't think it was just some unfounded left idea that just was, a lot of people have actually stated this.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that parental accountability is not a factor. Like, you take like the Crumbleys, or what's his name, Ethan Gray, I think is his name. His dad just got 2nd-degree murder for getting him the gun. There is a difference, I think, between an actively participating parent, like the father that just got time down south. The state police actually showed up to his house, told him that his son was showing a lot of tendencies of being a school shooter, and that man went out and bought his son a gun for a present. He's responsible. Like, that's a clear-cut line there for me. Same thing with the Crumbleys. Those are clear-cut lines. Like, you were warned, you ignored it, and then you gave him the last piece he needed to do what he did. But again, that's very different than a mom who's just struggling.
Right.
Or a dad who's just struggling. Or a kid that's just plain bad. There are some, especially a kid that's become influenced by factors outside of their parents' control. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of those factors these days, between what you can get on social media, between the glorification of violence in this country, between the guys on the corner, the music we listen to glorifies bad behavior. Mm-hmm. Like there are things that you that are outside of a parent's
deny.
But they're also outside of anyone parent's control.
Right.
And how do you hold that parent responsible for something they cannot control? Granted, yeah, they brought the kid here. That was their thing they could have controlled, but it's a little past that controlling part, right? So how does this class or how do you hold that parent responsible when there's nothing they could do about that situation? There's nothing we as society could do about that situation, although we could have helped before. Like we need to do it's multifold. We need to start providing. We need to go back to to community. Like we need to provide assistance to those parents that are struggling, whether it be childcare, all kinds of things, mentoring programs. There's things that can be done. We need adults.
The economy's a problem too.
The economy's a problem, but we also need adults to get involved. Like we have to be the good examples for these kids. We used to do stuff like that. We don't do it anymore. We also need to do some better interruption in the justice system. Like it has to be graduated. I'm all for not treating children like adults, but when the consequences are equal and the same every single time, there's no deterrent. Like how many times do they do this? Like we had a kid here not that long ago. He was on his second his second criminal possession of a firearm. And this time he killed somebody. Or maybe it was his third. But we sent him home. Also, if you think the parents are responsible, is home to the responsible parent the right place? Like if we're going to hold parents accountable, let's take this kid. We'll take a generic kid. His mom doesn't give a crap. Doesn't care what he's doing. Nothing. Could care less. You think she cares anymore when he gets arrested for criminal possession of a weapon? Nope. What are you going to do with him? Oh, you're going to send him home with mom, who doesn't care. What is he going to do? Go right back to doing what he was doing because mom doesn't care. So then he's going to get locked up. He's going to get arrested again. Criminal possession of a weapon. Mom still doesn't care. What do we do with him? We send him back to mom, who still doesn't care. At some point, he's going to escalate. At some point, you only carry a gun so many times and get away with it before you're like, yeah, maybe I can get away with the next thing too. How does a class fix that? Mom doesn't care.
I'm actually glad that you posted the meeting because I gotta say, I was proud of my community because I had a couple of actual Faces of 518 guests that actually got up there and spoke. So I wanted to shout out to my man Justice Maddox for being there. Raquel Sadler spoke. My man Sherrod Kraft spoke. And I was like surprised to see them there, which I shouldn't have been, but I definitely am starting to see that we're starting to step forward at these meetings, which I think is needed for, and I gotta say also, they all work with juveniles too. So it's important for the advocates of these children to step forward too. Shout out to the community.
I don't get to take credit for that because I didn't actually put the call out for them, but I believe that following the last thing and some of the things that have been going on, it seems like more people are watching, more people are paying attention. And I hope to have had just a little bit of hand in that, in galvanizing people to pay attention to their local race, their local politics.
No, I wouldn't debate that at all. I wouldn't debate that at all.
Because I look back then and I was like, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't even care what people come. I don't care what your viewpoint is on it. I don't care if you support it, you don't support it. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is that you get into the room and up on the mic. That's what matters. Like, we're all entitled to our opinions on stuff, but I can't even hear your opinion unless you speak up.
So one of the speakers, Sherrod Kraft, is actually my next guest. And I was paying attention to something that you said earlier. And he's a person that was exonerated. And he did 24 years for a crime he didn't commit. Are you familiar with him in the situation?
I have some familiarity. It's been a while, but...
It's a person I'm trying to help, and I feel like not enough is being talked about it. Is that a situation you might be able to assist me with? I don't put you on the spot, but
possibly. We're going to have to, we'll talk about it, and if I can, I will.
That's what's up. Yeah, that's, so we talked about the terminal, talked about F. Anything else that the community needs to know about that's happening right now?
Honestly, there's always something happening, but if I can spark anything, it's even before standing up and speaking. Like, we are all part of the same community. Like, we need to get back to community. It costs you nothing to be nice. Absolutely nothing. And the idea, you have no idea the impact you can have on another person's life that day. I mean, what if the person that's walking by you is about to give up and you just smile and say good morning? That could be the difference in the choices that they make after that. And also, we're so much stronger together. Like, none of the things that I've done in the nearly 20 years, can't believe it's been that long, but that I've been doing community work has been done by me alone. Community work isn't one person. Community work is us as a community. And like I said, I'm indifferent on what your stance is. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me. If something that I did gets you out to voice that, then it's worth it to me, because we have to stop being our elections, our processes and politicians. It has become a spectator sport. We sit back and we watch it happen, and we say things like, well, my vote wouldn't really count anyway. That's debatable on those bigger ones, but in your local elections, your vote counts. At the ground, yeah. And your local elected officials are the ones that have the greatest impact on your life, because they can help with things, because they can bring up your issues, and because they can stand up for you. But if you're just sitting there waiting for things to change before you participate, it's never going to change. I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, I'll vote when things change. How are they going to change if you don't vote? Right. If you don't vote, the same person that didn't try to do anything for the last 10 years is going to get to keep not doing anything.
You know what? I did have one more thing. That slipped my memory that I wanted to ask you about. And we'll make this our last topic.
Okay.
I want to talk about the mission.
Oof. I have no good things to say. I'm just going to start there. I don't think first of all, it shouldn't have been built there. That's number one. One of your former guests supported that and still supports that to this day. It's 375 feet away from an elementary school. I've lived in the Mansion neighborhood on the block that I've lived in now since 2009. The number of times, and partially I think it's because of the field that I'm in, I religiously check that sex offender registry looking for child molesters that are staying at the mission. And then I call and have them exited. Because a child molester who likes elementary school girls, that's not the right place for you. Period. This is not the right place for you. You have to find some place that's not putting you constantly in your victim type, around your victim type. That should be a no-brainer for the mission itself. You're 375 feet away from an elementary school. You should go above and beyond to make sure that you're not housing someone that's their victim type.
And so explain that, how a lot of them aren't Albany residents.
Oh, yeah.
How's that happen?
Here's the biggest problem with the mission. It receives no state or county funds. Mm-hmm. So there's no faucet to cut off. It's all private donors. So they don't need our money to do this. If they did need our money, we would have a better ability to fight. Mm-hmm. What Perry Jones, I think calling him a pastor is, I don't think that's appropriate, in my opinion. I'm not religious, but from everything I've learned about him and my interactions with him, I'm not seeing God there. I see an opportunist who likes to look like he's saving the world, but he's not saving anything. So I've done quite a bit of research on them, and I'm happy. Like, I don't have it sitting in front of me, so I don't want to misstate it. Mm-hmm. But I find nothing about the mission's mission, its goals. None of that is supported in the data that they put out. I can find absolutely no information that any of their substance abuse counselors have appropriate educations or background. In order to, and he'll tell you that this is not what happens, but it is, in order to stay overnight, you have to come in to go to church. If you don't get to stay tonight. Also, during the day, there's absolutely no activities for them. They're just out on the street. He says, no, they can stay in the day room. No, they can't. They are pushed out into the streets with no plan. So you have addicts and other, people coming home from incarceration, all kinds of things. And you're just throwing them out in the street without structure. A person who is suffering from substance abuse, a person who is chronically unhoused, a person who is newly returning from incarceration needs structure for the transition. Like, you need that structure to help them get from where they are to where is best for them. Pushing them out on the street just creates chaos, and it's not healthy for the people involved. Like, and then you believe that they can kick their substance abuse with God. Don't get me wrong, even being non-religious, if the Lord saves you, like if you find that camaraderie, that hope, and that transition into a better life for you through there, I'm so happy for you. If religion keeps you from going backwards, I'm so happy for you. But when you force something on someone, it doesn't tend to have that effect. So you are attempting to force a person who has substance abuse issues to accept God in order to get help from you. That's a recipe for disaster. That's not helpful. There's so much evidence-based treatments and processes and therapies, and they're not being employed. So you basically, what is happening is you are keeping them chronically unhoused which means your beds are chronically full because they're not graduating into a better life for themselves. They're just sleeping on a cot and you're in the room. You're not providing them the kind of structure
and assistance they really need.
And assistance that they need. And you're bringing in extra people for us. We already have people that need services here.
We already have local people that.
Correct. So you're
bringing in that area too.
You know? Right. So you're bringing more in. That's taxing on the services we do have, because now the locals have to wait longer because you've trucked in people to fill your beds to make your donation monies.
And with a struggling police force, we can't even have police officers sitting out there.
Right. And it's that, but it's not even just that. If you go downtown, like into the South End to some of those pocket parks, they're full of needles. Like you have to spend a lot downtown right now. It's hard to dodge it. Like you gave us a methadone clinic by the Mission. Like,
make it make sense.
Right. And Perry Jones is actually looking to expand, to add an additional 100 beds. We will do everything we can to stop that. Like I will stand the way he can't stand me. Every time I'm in a meeting or something, he's there and someone says something, he'll be like, "Stop it, Dannielle." I'm like, I didn't even say that. Like, I'm not the only person that has a problem with this. But he just assumes it's me every time because I have zero problem coming for him. Him and his head substance abuse counselor, joke, Dave, I think is his name. I don't know if you saw on my live when Ash Grove is in between Grand and South Pearl Street, was being paved. The paving company forgot to have the no parking signs updated. So they had actually expired. So a neighbor caught the foreman in the morning, changed the dates on the no parking signs.
Wow.
And then call police and have everyone's cars towed. I made that company return everyone's cars and pay all the towing fees. Yeah.
This isn't that situation we spoke about before, right?
No.
This is a whole nother time?
It's a whole nother time. Because
wow.
these things just get done in these communities because they're like, oh, who cares? Who cares about them, right?
Right.
So, needless to say, I was on a warpath. The owner got a hold of me and was like, "You please stop saying mean things about us." And I was like, "Well, you need to do something. Like, how dare you come into our community and do that? Like, some of these people are just making ends meet, and now they got a $275 tow fee? No, you pay everyone. You give everybody back their car, and you pay for all of it. And if anyone had to take a cab or something else and pay money, you pay that back too. Like, this is, you created this. You eat that." So
I ain't gonna lie, I love to see when you be on your warpath. Because I know somebody's getting help, though.
So I somehow there was this idea that they would give back to the community, and somehow the community became the Mission. And this man from the Mission literally forgives them for having people's cars towed. Like, he speaks to the news talking about, we forgive them. Those are not your cars. The only people that get to forgive them are the people whose cars they had stolen. And where do you, this didn't happen in front of the Mission. This happened blocks away from it.
Right.
So
you think it was just the op?
Right. You don't get to absolve someone who's harmed this community. That's this community's gets to do that. The people affected by that, not you. Like, I called that man up and tore him one. It is to the point where he doesn't even look me in the face when he sees me play. He just puts his head down. Maybe a year ago, he's like, "How are you doing, Dannielle?" And I was like, "Why are you talking to me?"
Oh my goodness.
What am I supposed to say to that? We are in a minority community. You non-minority person who supports and works, like, you don't just work with, you like stay there to support the mission, who, by the way, is basically indenturing slaves. I don't know if you know that. When you get to stay at the mission, you're expected to work for free. There's that part too. But you don't get to forgive a company for doing that. Like, why don't you just, call up one of the slave drivers and be like, I forgive you for slavery. Like, you don't just you don't get that. That's an overstep. Like, you had no right to do that. You should have said, I think you should talk to the community that was affected. Like, you knew I was part of it. You should have directed their comment to me.
That's true.
Anybody. No, he said, we forgive them. I got your forgiveness.
Dannielle Hille is in the building. Listen, I feel like an important part of this platform is also to inform the community. So, for those that are very active in the community like yourself, these are people that you will probably reoccurringly see, because we need to constantly be updated on what's been happening and what needs to happen. So,
punches in the scorecard.
I'm smoothing out the outro, but I want to shout you out for coming once again.
Thank you for having me again.
And being informative, letting people know what they need to know. And I'm some of the people that were unspoken about, right? I got love for them too. My job is not to tell y'all what to say or to influence what you guys are saying. It's for me to give everybody a platform and a voice to speak from their end and their position and the roles that they play in local government, politics, the community, or whatever. So, I just I'm appreciative that I do have the relationships with all of you guys. Whether you guys stand on the same issues or not, it doesn't matter. My job is to get you guys up here to inform the community about what's going on, and I'm going to always stand on that and continue to do that. So I appreciate you coming once again. I want to shout out JGI Media. We at 2 Highland Ave. You guys need a dope podcast studio to do your podcast. You need your raps recorded. You need your music mixed. You need cinematography, photography. You need a psych wall to shoot your newest video, a live band room. We got all of that under this roof. JGI Media, 2 Highland Ave. Shout out my man Jay Green for always making it happen for me. And once again, our guest Dannielle Hille, the controversial warrior.
Yo, listen, trailblazing.
Keep doing what you do.
Absolutely.
And this is episode 20. We signing out. Shout out to all my supporters. Peace.